Yes, I'm back. Back again. This time, Tuesday, 5 p.m. till 6. But folks, you've heard me 1,000 times, once a week for last 2 years. Congratulate me. Give me a call. 0208 472 8415. Do you know what? I've been doing this radio for 2 years. Do you believe it? I can't believe it until I had to count the times today. So, as I was counting my days, my calendar, guess what I've thought about doing today? To help you out, I went back to my student days. I thought about, bloody hell, being a student wasn't that easy. All the studies I had to do, all the pens that I have ruined, and all the notepads I've filled with writing, with ink. So, today, folks, what do you think? Guess what? It is going to be on students. Yes, at last, I'm going to be devoting the whole hour, you won't believe it, a whole hour on students. If I had known what I know now, believe you me, I would not be getting a student loan. Hey ho, it's over. Doesn't really matter. So today, folks, is gonna be on student loan, and I'm going to be covering lots of things. What do you think? Career support, charity grants, go local, business funding. Throughout, yes, throughout, you'll be getting tips after tips after tips for you to save for the life of being a student. Maybe you yourself have been a student. Obviously, I want to hear from you. 0208 472 8415. So all hour, are we nailing you and killing you and talking about, guess what, going to be on student loan. Yeah, so when it comes to the basic, career support. Obviously, different career has different kind of support. If it's NHS, then National Health Service funds some health and social care courses, though what's available depending on where you are. So I suggest you go and look online NHSBSA or nhs.uk for you to start your career when it comes to the world of National Health Service. Let's now talk about charity funds. Believe you me, not many of you know it. If you want to be a student, you can also get the fund you want, but you're going to have to fish around. You're going to have to dig around. No one, these days, no one on this planet going to give a penny on your plate. But you're going to have to work hard, be greedy, be filthy, and be fishy. Go fish around. So, best way to fish around, especially to find whether funds are available. You just need to think about what kind of person you are. Because there's tons of money lodged in charity funds. You can start with the grants calculator at turntous.org.uk, folks. Yes, let me just repeat. Turn, Turn, to the number 2, and then us, so turn to us.org, yep, and .uk, and drill down through the options for health, religion, nationality, and family situation. So let me repeat, there is grants out there. You just need to know whether you fit the criteria to get the grant. So to get grant, you need to drill down, check the options for health, for religion, for nationality, for family situation to have more chance of finding something you're eligible for. Eligible means you're entitled to get. So what do you do? Folks, if you're a member of a professional organization, you may want to find that way. So for example, let's say if you are a member of, you can be a lawyer, Legal Eagle, you may want to try Law Society's website. That website may have an option where you might be able to get some funds due to your circumstance. Again, there is no justification for no fishing. So you're going to have to check it. You're going to have to find it. You're going to have to be studious, because being a lawyer is all about being a problem solver. If you can't solve your problems to get money, how the hell are you going to solve problems for others? So be wary, be careful, be assertive. So yeah, that's another way of getting it. Now, you can, no doubt, get a business funding, and that may mean sponsored degrees, and there are courses out there in UK. I mean, of course, legal is one, accountancy another one, where you genuinely get funding to do your course. So, and they will pay for your food. They'll pay for your fees, support and work placements while you study. So I'm sure you've heard of internships. So in banking, look, if you really love your numbers and you think you want to be the greedy moneymaker, then obviously you need to think about that, isn't it? So go and make money. But in order, I'm afraid, for you to make that money that you want, again, just to recap, it is not going to happen. You're not going to be getting on a plate, because these days, if you really think you are going to get it on a plate, you are dreaming and you're living a life that is fake. Don't live a life fake, please. Yep. So the trade-off, though, that is, you have to give up, is that you can't pick and choose your subject degrees. You're going to have to do the subject that you have been selected to do by your future employer that has sponsored you. So yeah, as I said, it is about accountancy. Then obviously you have to think about the company that says you must do that course, otherwise highway please, not this way. Okay, there's no one-stop catalog for corporate sponsors. So yeah, you better find those companies that will pay for your course rather than you getting into student loan. I know people think that okay, let's go and get the student loan, who cares, we'll pay later. Look, if you start with presumption that you won't be in debt in the future because you've got your employer paying for it, isn't that a good thing? I think it's much better than getting into debt. Whoever says that, oh yeah, getting into debt is fantastic, I'm afraid that's only because you're justifying the fact that you are in debt. There were times, if you go back, but I'm not that old, but if there are times when a lot of people, I must say, have got free education and no debt. Now we have a time where literally the moment you think about, yes, debt, please buy part and parcel. That's fine. But if you can get money from your employer, why not? Go and get money, okay? Yeah, go and get money. So, but you can also look locally. While you can't list everything going, it's worth looking locally for extra support, no doubt. So let's say, for example, if you're like a care leaver, you now get grants coming from your local authority. If you look for if you're low income and you're working or something, you might think about some funds available, again, going back to local authorities, or even charities like turntous.org.uk. Let me repeat, turntous.org.uk. And if you feel you don't know how to spell it, I will spell it for you. TURN2 us.org.uk. Yeah, there we go. But listen, I want to hear from you too. 0208 472 8415. Okay, so there we go. So yeah, so what we covered so far: career support, charity support, you students, or fathers, mothers who are studying, or fathers, mothers who are thinking about their kids going on school and studying university, primarily. So yeah, there we are. So we talked about all those things, but the question is, what tips are there? Yeah, what tips? Well, you can apply for some grants months after your course starts, if you're eligible, as I talked about before. If you haven't applied, check it out. You can read the small print. Does the money need to be repaid? Will it affect other support? And does it come with any strings? So in other words, if you are, let's say, applying and you're getting the grants, what sort of thing you should be thinking about. So don't forget to of course, read the small print even when you make for a grant application, because criteria might be stringent, burden might be quite difficult. It might mean that you can't sustain it, so you better read it. So, what also happens? Dropping out of your course may mean having to repay loans and free funding. Always talk through your options before ditching your degree, because as you know, even if you apply for a student loan, you still have to, you still have to pay it back. I'm afraid, as I said, there is no free money growing on a free tree. So the golden rule is for top up funding is find out what's on offer before you need it. If you find yourself in a pickle later on, you know where to go to get things back on track. Trust, of course, yourself and faith in yourself. So that's kind of basic standard of course, tips. But when it comes to the actual money, let's be frank, we are talking about borrowing, paying, rather than trying to check where you might be able to get extra support through grants and scholarship and sponsorship. So it is about getting the money you need. Yeah, get it. So family fortune and how to borrow money from your folks and of course to survive. Let's be frank about it. These days, your biggest bank is probably the bank of your parents, isn't it? Yeah. So if your biggest parent, I mean, biggest bank is your parent, what's next? I'm afraid funding for living costs at uni really takes the pressure off staying alive. Unfortunately, maintenance support alone isn't always enough to get by. It just isn't. And what you may end up not realizing is that government expects you and your family to pick up this bill and pick up the slack. So it is crucial, no doubt, you have to budget to find the holes. But jobs might help, savings prior to it might help, and other funding that I talked about before may help. But the question is, how much are they meant to pay up? Because student loan company shall calculate your household income. If your household income is high, it's very likely you may not get maintenance a part of the loan, even fees. So you need to check that. You can calculate it at savethestudent.org. And let me repeat, savethestudent.org. That site will give you access to information as to whether you have to pay or your household has to pay towards maintenance. It very much depends upon specific cases. Some family members are more rich than others. So if you're a student or if your children are thinking of studying, I'm afraid you're going to have to calculate your household income. SaveTheStudent.org can help work it out. Okay? It is a given that your folks, your great parents or partner will want to support you, because in the end, no one wants to leave you abandoned while you are studying, trying to develop your career as whatever it might be, social worker, lawyer, legal, accountant, banker, whatever it may be, or even a teacher. Obviously, if you're going to be studying, support is essential to find out if your great parents or partner will want to support you. If they do want to support you, it makes it easier because you can then plan money that you need whilst you're studying. Okay? So how easy is it to talk about money with your family? You're going to have to deal with that. So the earlier you leave it, it's easier for you to plan. You plan your money with your family. What attitudes to spending and saving do you have? also in common. So at least by talking about money, you will also realize how they behave, how you behave, but also find a way to plan towards when you start studying and what sort of steps that you need to take with yourself and with your, no doubt, family about money, because they are your ultimate bank. Is being financially independent important to you? You can ask the question. Are you willing to take advice on your budgeting, spending, and priorities? Can you even ask your family for money advice? Where will you get your info if not? So there we are. So you see, it is about finding the right time and right place and right people to talk about money, because money is a sensitive subject. I mean, we may have a fantastic expensive BMW or what's the word? What's the other one? Don't know. I've got Mazda, but if you, for example, have, let's say, a Audi, obviously, you know, you fancy. BMW is a good one. There's quite a few other ones I can't remember, but obviously you've got your own taste, but no doubt they cost more, but it doesn't mean you have lots of money in your bank account. It's just that the car is expensive, or appears to be expensive. Anyway, yeah, if your folks can't or won't support you, who else will you cover your costs? So there we are. Do you have any savings? Do you have any earnings? And also, have you won any money from the national lottery? I suspect the answer to that is no. Obviously, you haven't. So, okay, now in terms of your mum and dad, the bank of mum and dad, that you have to rely on, I'm afraid, because that's it. Mum and dad, call in 0208 472 8415. The topics I've so far covered throughout is variety. I've covered in the last 2 years, as I said, as I told you before. Oops, I'm slipping my tongue already. Benefits, loans, credit card, alternative lending. I covered council tax. I covered bailiffs. I covered you name it, I've done it. So I'm quite well resourced when it comes to giving a show around money, show around debt, show around benefit and welfare right. So, you know, information is here for you. However, going back to Bank of Mum and Dad. So what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? I'm asking you. What do you do? Bloody hell. Yeah. What do you do? Let me tell you. Talk through your folks together. Here are obviously some tips that can help you. So I think what I'm trying to do is kind of like take away the mist of not talking. I'm afraid if you can talk to your siblings, talk to your parents about money, believe me, it eases the pressure a hell a lot. So there we are. First thing you have to just say, can you afford to help me out? Have you done that? Have you asked that? That's a big question, you know. Can you afford to help me out with the money? Bloody hell, it's a big one. I think it's a big one. Yeah? Don't you think so? No? Can you afford to help me out? That is a really, really big question. The answer can be either yes or no. If they can help you, then obviously you've got them under their belt. Then the question is how. Okay? And the other thing is, how much cash are we talking about? They might say yes, but if you ask for the moon, I'm afraid that's not going to happen, is it? So you're going to have to say, Mom, Dad, Mom, Mom is not in, but Dad is in. Yeah, so you're going to have to talk to your dad. Yeah, Dad. Yes. You better say, and whoever you get along with first, obviously. If you get along with your dad, you say, how much cash are we talking about? Dad. There we are. You see. The other thing is it going to be lump sum or regular payment? Again, if you talk to your mom or dad, that might help a bit. Yeah, we're going on American here. Okay. So, or do you need to tell how you spent it? Yeah. So in other words, your parents will ask you how you be spending the money. So yeah, you need to have that dialogue. If you don't do that, how your mom and dad are going to support you. It's a tough one, isn't it? So you need to be kind of like on the ball here, yeah? And the other thing is, even though you love your mum and dad, are they going to say you better pay back the loan I'm giving you over on bank? You have to pay it back with interest. Bloody, you wouldn't believe it. I've come across some parents actually have they said just that. They said, "We'll give you the money," but really, it's not giving; it's borrowing. Here's £10,000 that I've saved up, but I saved up for myself. But since you're asking, I'll lend it to you. I expect a percentage of return. Believe you me, I have come across so many. Of course, the question is yours like that? Is your mum going to ask for you to return with interest? Is your dad said, son, a sweetie pie daughter, although I love you so much, but you're gonna have to pay with interest because I'm giving money from my pension. Yeah. Do you see? You're gonna have to do that. Okay. So you just need to ask yourself the question, really. So yeah. So what's the plan if you get in trouble? Have you thought about that? You call that risk assessment. Yes, risks. Clearly, let's say for example, you instead of you spending money on your books, you spent money on partying with friends, going to Oxford Street and buying lots of clothes, or even let's say for example you have decided to I don't know, go to Istanbul instead and experience the exotica of Istanbul, but you've got to study, so marks are bad, but you've spent loads of money and you're gonna have to now justify to your mum and dad and them. They are the bank after all. So anyway, so whatever answers you get, see what grants, scholarships, benefits you're entitled to before you sell the course to your parents. There's always cash out there that you all can get. But I'm afraid, just as I started before, there is no other way except fishing, checking, looking around for the money. Turn to us is one, turn to us.org.uk is one, nhs.uk for another one for free money. We are talking about free money here. These, as you know, no system likes to give money for free, but I'm giving you option to look around, fish around to find free money. Look, clearly we looked at ways for you to find money. In the end, this show, no doubt, is about money. Your money, to me, matters, obviously. But once you are studying how to work your way through uni, being at university, it's not an easy task. Lots going on. Lots going on in the sense of studies, going to the libraries, reading, and of course, apart from checking who the hot, sexy person might be next to you, put that aside for now, Do you see? The issue is, yes, when you're studying, what sort of things you do? Essays that you might have to write, so much reading you have to do, your brain is going to be full of information. Clearly, it's a big, big thing. Look, I've been there. Loved it. I encourage people to go there. But the question is, at what cost? Yeah? At what cost? So you need to think about those things clearly. Yeah? So now really then the question is, why and how to work your way through uni? So, yeah. Well, knowing what you want from a job means you can focus on applying for roles that do the business. So I'll walk you through that process. So the question is, why are you working? Steady work is no doubt a ticket if you need cash to live off, while seasonal jobs might be better for you if you can't work during term, or in it for fun or a break from your studies. Think too if you want a job that plugs into your career ambitions, as getting relevant roles or skills now can make it easier on your CV later on. So think ahead, maybe find a job that pays. You can put those things on your CV, and once the degree is over, you just got a job already. There you go. It's that getting onto the job ladder. Decide which is most important and use it to give you a steer, an accelerator. Okay? Like a car. Yeah. And also, think about yourself. What do you enjoy? Not many bosses pay people to drink coffee and daydream. They don't, I'm afraid. No bosses I've come across will just say, sweet student, go and drink coffee and daydream and I'll pay you for it. I'm afraid there is no such thing. Wish it was the case, I'm afraid. There isn't. There is no boss who would just say, go and drink coffee. But it's still worth thinking things through. It might be lively teammates. Find out what kind of work setting it is. Being creative or turning a hobby you love into a playing gig might help, or paying gig might help. Not sure what makes you tick? If you don't know what makes you tick, go to your careers office and hopefully they will make you tick in terms of your strengths and weaknesses and find you the right job. So go at your careers office and do a personality test and check it out. You can get a careers advisor who can help you to sort out mentally, because obviously getting a job is not just simply just writing a CV and a letter and filling in thousands of application forms. And believe me, I'm guilty of doing that. I filled in thousands. I get lots of interviews, but I kind of don't go beyond that, I suppose. I'm being honest here. So yeah, but you need to ask yourself, what can you tolerate? What do you enjoy? What you don't? What you enjoy can inspire you. What you can tolerate keeps your options open. So in other words, think how much you can bear. Can you hack repetitive tasks and long hours? Think about it. If it's just typing away, just filling all the dots on a letter, I'll get bored. Think about it. You've been asked to be an admin officer, yeah, and then your job is just to turn the computer on, and then everything you get, you just have to just add numbers. If it's adding numbers all day without thinking, it might be brain numbing. So the question is, do you really want that? I'm afraid you need to ask God that question. Or that's what it is. So yeah. Or do you think instead of being like a number adding person, do you think you're better at just selling things, i.e., being on the street and saying, "Look, do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy that?" Because you got the voice of a king or a queen. You just love to listen to your own voice. If you do, then maybe selling is better. And don't forget, selling also involves persuading. Another word, a product that you're selling, but you have to say, look, this is good, here are the reasons, and it's beneficial for you. Some people love that. If you do, maybe you should try that way and not admin. Okay? Or, I mean, if you are happy with stacking shelves, then you've got Sainsbury's, Tesco's, and other bits and bobs. Yeah, just be honest about your things that you like and things you don't. It makes it easier. Yeah, otherwise you be just dithering, you be daydreaming, you be thinking about the ideal employer who's going to make coffee for you, who's going to let you daydream and you get the salary that you want. The truth is, that's not how the reality is. Okay? So there we are. So yeah, so you just have to be honest. And the other thing is, when will you work? For you, be honest. When you're studying Studying takes time, and job shifts don't always plan nice together. So the biggest challenge is having a balance. That might mean only working during vacations or asking for flexible shifts. So then go for it. Otherwise, you might find there are difficulties. Secret to it is to say that you'll do less and do more. If you say lots and do little, that's not good. So then it boils down to managing expectation. Look, I've come across so many people who are very good at talking. I think I'm one of them. But hey, yeah, they can talk. Yeah, talk. But when it comes to doing anything, they're rubbish. I know. They are so rubbish. The question is, which are you? Now, if you're just good at talking and doing nothing, I suspect you shift things around. Talk less, do more. That might take you a long way, and you realize that the employer will love you for it. Now, obviously, even if you're working, no one is going to work for free, especially when you're a student. Will you? I suggest the answer I expect also from you is no. So, first, when it comes to making payments, make sure work pays at least the national minimum wage. So be wary. So if you are getting hired before you're fired, yeah, so it should be £5.90 per hour if you are 18 to 20, and it should be £7.38 if you are between 21 and 24. And check if you'll get enough shifts or income to meet your needs, and whether cost, in this case cost would mean transport, uniform, etc., will eat your earnings. The reason being is because you might have some places where they'll say, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to buy your own clothing. That causes the problem, doesn't it? Think about it. If the employer says, we're not going to give you shirts, we're going to have to get your own clothes, that causes a problem for you. Yeah. There we are. So think about those things. But remember, union work is more flexible. I don't have to compromise my studies, and it helps me develop skills for the future. Remember, okay? This is said by Stephanie, by the way. Thank you, Stephanie. Let me repeat what she said. Union work is more flexible. I don't have to compromise my studies, and it helps me develop skills for the future. Thank you, Stephanie. Now, the question, having been talking about making a living and how to work your way through uni, now let's move to 5 ways to score work. Yep, students need a study-friendly job. There is a gig here for you. So what we were looking at, hit the student union, that's one. Second, campus jobs. Also look locally and think seasonal, and no doubt think of internships. Yeah. So let's talk about hitting. I don't mean hitting student unions where you punch. I mean going to visit your student union. It primarily depends on the size and scope of your students' union. You could be looking at a bar shift, another word for work, basically, or even bar shift, catering, pushing and pulling something in the student union cafe or a bar. You may want to think about, again, catering as well, marketing, retail, student support, i.e. you support other students if you like, social care. You might even think about good old-fashioned admin. So in other words, if you want to work, first thing you may want to think about is working for the student union. Student union is basically a place is designed to help other students. So if you work there, why not? Do it. Think of the bar shift, catering, marketing, retail, student support, and no doubt admin. Because, hey, you get paid. People skills, and personality are just as handy as work experience for these roles. So shout about your best bits. Your union will also have a job board, either on the website. These days, everything's on the website. I'm afraid I've seen it recently because I had to kind of like fish around for my niece. She's rubbish, but so I had to get it for her. There we are. But your union will also no doubt will have job boards either on the website or in the building for vacancies around campuses. So please look around. So your first bet would be student union, isn't it? Guess what? Student union. Yeah. Second one, campus jobs. That's basically the university itself, not the union. Working for a uni or college means more options. For example, you can work at the reception, library, and departmental duties to being welfare mentor for your halls or residents. Other planned positions include uni ambassador, where you can say, look, I can show you around. Yeah, the uni. Show casting the union to new or prospective students or similar brand ambassador, promoting companies. Your careers department can tell you what's on offer and how to get involved. So there we are. There we go. So don't forget to approach your careers advisor. So yeah, we covered hitting the student union. We covered the campus jobs. Now, look local. In other words, not too far. If you work before uni, repotting your old job in your new location, keep things super simple. In other words, if you work near where you study, it makes it easy, doesn't it? It helps if your employer is part of a chain, but if not, it'll ask if they can introduce you to retail, catering, bar works, are the easiest to score with that experience. So just pop along and ask about vacations. Check online, job boards, apps, and agencies. Chat to uni careers advisor again. I think if you really want a job, go and get your careers advisor. Career. Yeah, career. I'm the Angel Shah. She says to me, make the most of schools, friends, and network, and use social media. Oh, good, Angel. You are very, very informative. Social media. You can get a job through social media, says Angel Shah. Thank you, Angel Shah. Okay, fourth thing is think seasonal. If we don't want to work, what am I talking about? If you don't want to or can't work during term, seasonal role, there are but you need to learn. I see. So let's say if you can't work during student seasonal times, you can work during Christmas. You can if you want to, or even temporary cover bars, shops, restaurant. Yeah, and the rest. There's more than cold weather work out there. Festivals, holidays. You can get those occasional iron upper business that happens in London. You might be able to get involved, okay? And of course, there are all over the place ad hoc stuff are happening, okay? So think about seasonal. For example, Glastonbury, if you love your, I don't know, filthy music scene, or you can have Boishaki Mela, is whenever they still need people to help you out, so why not? The other thing you might want to think about is internships. Internship is a fancy word basically for work experience, but whatever it's called, it can be a foot in the door to a future career. Yes, you can break in. You can shine. You can say, look, I'm the bee's knees and I'm here to apply. Well, there's no doubt, don't forget, even by saying all those things, still quite competitive. So planning and perseverance are a must. Roles advertised through your uni, some job sites, and directly from from companies. So I'm afraid is that careers advisor might be quite handy. Go on, hold the hands of the career advice. Okay, I don't mean literally, but for support. Or you can always go online. prospects.ac.uk. That will no doubt give you information on internships. Mommies and daddies, if you really care about your kids and you want to prepare them for them, don't wait around. Go and do research. Prospects.ac.uk will give you a way to find out whether if you actually can gain experience as you get paid. According to Angela, real life, hands-on experience prepares you for the real world. It's amazing to see how the things you learn are actually practiced. Thank you, Angela. You've been very, very helpful indeed. So, we talked about ways to grab money. I hope you're by now thinking of becoming a money grabber. Yeah, always be a money grabber. Go out there, grab money. And the way you do it is by fishing around, looking around, going online, researching for grants, scholarship, funding, and most important of all, getting a job. Yes, if you think that you'll be getting a job just by drinking coffee and daydreaming an employer will give you the job just for doing those things, I'm afraid you are just like what I said before, dreaming, daydreaming, thinking about the clouds, thinking about the blue sky, thinking about the sea, thinking about the noise that you get of the sea, I'm afraid no, that's not how it works, okay? It just doesn't work like that. So we're gonna have to think about a nitty-gritty thing now about, guess what? It is gonna be about the budget. There's no way behind, there's no way you can hide. Budget. Yep, the budget. For some people it's the bogey word, budget? What about budget? No, talk to me about Bob Dylan instead. Talk to me about Iron Upper. Talk to me about the culture, India. Talk to me about Pakistan. Talk to me about how good everything looks. Why the budget? What is this budget? What? That's not trendy, man. That is not trendy. I'm afraid that's what reality is all about. Yeah, reality. You're gonna have to do a budget in order to properly prepare. So what does it mean? It's simple. It's simple. You need to literally have to do a table, really. Yeah, table. One will say the money coming in. The other will say your bills that you have to pay. If you've got savings, fantastic. And no doubt we have to think about your living cost. So we're going to have to talk about all those things. So really, 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 on your Money Matters show, that's what you should be thinking about. Money coming in, money going out, money that you're saving, and money involves your living cost. You need those things. I know, for some people, there is no money, there is no honey. I'm sympathetic to that, but I'm afraid still, you still have to think about the budget. Okay, the budget. Yeah, budget. So, how does it work? First thing you do, you ascertain how much you are getting. It could be a student finance, university funds, family support, earning, benefits, etc. I've got a calculator actually next to me, so I'm adding all the incomes that I get. 50 there, 100 there, regular, okay? Add them together. It could be something like you're getting, not sure, it's quite difficult to kind of say, but let's say £1,000 per month, okay? You know, and I know, you are getting £1,000. Fantastic. It's clear, it's certain, and there is no ambiguity whatsoever. Perfect. Then the question is, how do you spend that money? Are you paying rent? Well, if you are paying rent, you may be paying because you're living in a student accommodation or with friends. Yeah, if you're living with parents and they're charging you rent, well, they're not just simply your bank, they're also your landlord, it seems. But hey, yeah. So you need to think about you, the expenses you pay, rent, gas, electricity, water. Do you pay TV license? I'm afraid doesn't matter if you are a student. You still have to pay TV license if you're watching TV. Okay, also if you are watching TV on a computer, unless you are on Netflix, you don't pay because that's you downloading information to watch it, so it's not the same. So yeah. The other thing is mobile phone. Bloody hell, these days without a phone, it's like we're living in a village, isn't it? Village. We can't have that. No, we need a mobile phone for God's sake. We'll fight over, no, we'll agree over everything, but without a phone, it's not happening here. You're not my friend if there is no phone. Literally, if you go to university and you have a lovely chat with whoever, X, Y, and Z, from A to Z, you talk to them, and suddenly you say you don't have a phone, especially mobile phone. Do you know what? Every single classmate of yours will abandon you. Literally, they will abandon you. They're not going to be your friend. So really, to be or to have friends, you're going to have a phone. Yeah, I know it's difficult, especially these days. Yeah, I know it's true. It is true. It's a shame, but it is true. Where were the days when there was no phone and you're just drinking your coffee and daydreaming and you don't have to worry about anything and you get salary paid by your employer? I'm afraid that's not happening. So anyway, so yeah, so you need to think about phone. Oh, do you have to pay insurance, or anything else? You need to think about those things clearly. 0208 472 8415. I want to hear from you. Yeah, I want to hear from you. Hey, yeah, there we go. Yeah, so the other thing is, have you got savings? Regular savings, special events. Do you want to save for holiday to Ayia Napa or Istanbul? Yeah, you just save, unless you got your bank from parents. They're happy to help. Okay. I'm afraid there is no magic trick to budget. It comes down to your willpower. Going without can be tough at times, but a money goal or a plan, however basic it may be, can help you go the distance. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, so now obviously we talked about basic bills and savings and money coming in. We do have to kind of go deeper into that are more flexible, things that you can buy less of or more of when the time is good or bad. So think about food, groceries, snacks, all the crisps that you've been munching and crunching away, all the delicious chocolates that you've had when you're pissed off to make yourself feel so good, the chocolates that have melted in your mouth because you feel as though you have to just finish that essay. But you need a bit of comfort food, that chocolate. Yeah, you put it on the snacks. Okay, local transport is another one. I suppose you haven't got anyone whizzing around in a car taking you somewhere. It might happen sometimes where someone is whizzing you around in a car whilst you're studying. I'm afraid you have to accept that you have to use the bus. Use the bus or the train. And if you're a student, you get discounts anyway. So think about those things. Yes. Also, if you have to travel far, have you saved up for your travel expenses? Yeah. And the other thing is, you just think about cost of buying books. Books cost money. Clothes cost money. And don't forget that perfume that is spraying all over your body also costs money. So who's gonna pay If no one else is going to be paying and your dad is, mum is, fine. But you're going to have to budget. Now, don't forget, the other thing is, of course, socializing. You can't say you're going to study, you're not going to be hanging around with your mates. I know you'll be hanging around with your mates. I know, literally, some people pretend that they're studying, that really they spend all their time with their mates. Yeah, in parks, in cafes, yes, cafe, drinking cafes and daydreaming with your mates. If that's going to happen, you're going to have to plan. Now, I know I'm being serious now. If you're going to be a professional, you might have to subscribe to books like, I don't know, Legal Journal is a good one. Or, I don't know, accountancy updates. Those things may cost money. If you want to be a banker, you may want to, I suppose, think about, well, FT subscription. That costs money. So you just have to prepare, okay? Unless, of course, you go to your local library or your local careers office and you read it for free. Otherwise, I'm afraid you're going to have to pay. And if you're going to be paying, you have to prepare how to pay. There we are. So yes, so there you go. Convert a couple of non-essential costs into saving goals. Then only splash out once you've got the cash to your hand. So really, the motto of this is more like, sometimes what you call deferred satisfaction. Sometimes you have to suffer to get the rewards. It's a typical middle class thing. Some people do it. I didn't do it, by the way, but you might want to think about it. So save up now, suffer, and then you'll get your rewards later. Okay, so guess what? There we go. Guess what? You're gonna have to budget. We talked about how you prepare monthly, how you get your money in, how your bills are worked out that are fixed, and then things that are slightly more flexible, and then perhaps also save a couple of pennies on the side to make sure, to make sure you plan. Okay? So that's quite a good thing to think about. Now, you may be thinking that, do you borrow or do you use credit card? Now, on a nutshell, I might as well deal with that because you may have to do it. Borrowing doesn't have to be bad news. There may be times you can't get without loans, credit cards, or an overdraft, like putting down a rent deposit or replacing the busted laptop quickly. The catch is that borrowing is rarely free. We know that. We've even discovered the fact that sometimes even your parents might say, I'll lend you money, honey, but you're going to have to charge, or I'm going to have to charge you interest. So in this case, even the borough mainstream banks, I don't want to name or shame any banks like Lloyd's TSB, actually Lloyd's TSB, there's two separate entities, Barclays, HSBC, and Santander, and Metro. There are plenty, by the way, I'm not name dropping. And they're not free, unfortunately. But the secret is to keep it as cheap as possible. Say you run out of cash and start paying your weekly food shop by credit card. Then, when the monthly bill arrives, you just pay the minimum amount, or worse, you panic and stuff it down the back of the shop drawer. I'm afraid don't do that. By the time you have the cash to pay off your value pasta and squeezy cheese, you could owe more than you spent. Thanks to the bank charging you, no doubt, interest. If you pay late, don't forget the penalty fee. That doesn't mean you should borrow, however, but make sure you look around, fish around, find ways to keep it free. That could be by paying your bill in full each time, or shopping around for cheaper credit, like an industry overdraft. Okay? But But, God, we're coming to an end soon. When you spend £100 on a credit card, you don't actually spend any money up front. The card company pays for your purchases and you pay them back. Yeah? So now, if you pay the £100 back in full when you get your your statement, you clear your balance and everything is rosy. Okay? If you only make the minimum payment, let's say whatever it is, then of course the situation is quite different. But if the monthly interest rate is 2%, you also owe £1.90 in interest. So there we are. So your balance jumps back to 96.60. That doesn't make sense, does it? Well, I'll let you think about it. It can be quite difficult. However, the golden rule, I think it's best for me to talk to you about the golden rule. We haven't talked about that yet. The golden rule is always ask why you want to borrow. Why do you want to borrow? Is it to be in the car with your mates and you pay for the petrol and he or she drives his Audi or BMW or what's the other one? Can't remember. That German one. Don't know. Anyway, so yeah, why you want to borrow? Yeah. Whether it's worth the cost. Yeah, is it worth it? Think about it. If there are cheaper ways to pay, are there cheaper ways to pay? In the end, the bottom line is always have a plan for paying it back. Okay, whatever it is, pay it back. It should be your plan. Okay? Now, all right. So let's talk a bit about credit card. We talked about overdraft a bit. Where can you borrow and when? How you borrow money makes a big difference to what it costs. First, run through the golden rules, as I told you. Why you want to borrow, whether it's worth the cost, if there are cheaper ways to pay. And the bottom line is, always think of paying it back. Credit cards again. Credit cards, good for emergencies and tempting for loyalty points or cashback on purchases. Paying for items over £100 always gets you Section 75 protection. That's only if it's credit card, where the lender can step in if you have problems with the retailer. Borrowing is only free if you avoid interest and penalty fees. So, 0% intellectual offers make borrowing cheaper. Just don't be tempted to supersize your spending. You still have to repay part of it every month or in full when the deal ends. And never withdraw cash on a credit card. It's a rip-off city. Now, store cards are credit cards with more catches and fewer benefits. Be savvy if you sign up and always pay off in full. Now, briefly on loans. Don't have a student account. Regular loans overdrafts come with big boy rules, including arrangement fees, plus high interest and missed payments. Short-term loans, they're the most risky, I'm afraid. So, what can I say? I've covered a lot about students. Students, I expect you to be savvy, what we talked about. Career support, grant, charities, sponsorship, tips. I've covered mummy and daddies are your banks, basically. We've talked about how you make sure your money goes far by you getting a job. And also we talked about your ways to deal with it in student campuses and internships and all that stuff, how to budget. Also we talked about credit cards, overdraft, and briefly on loans. I expect students and parents of students that this should be the day when you think about loan in a different way. On that note, I must say, on Your Money Matters, goodbye.